Kamakoko,
Ai.
Kaholo, Pa, Hello, Huli, Bye-bye. Kalakaua, Lele uehe, Imua I hope, Hello, Kaholo, Tuno hula I ta moana. Tuno hula I ta moana. Hele I tai hutai ta pua ta aina. O la patau I la noho I ta hiti e ala. Hui nana kolu akupine. Hui nana kolu akupine. Leo tanatata hula e la kae.
Aloha e kulani o liliu, liu, aloha I ka la hui e, ua hui mai na kini a ka manu, o mana oe ai ka lehu, aloha e lili o na moku e, ua moko ia, ka piko I ke kapu o kapua, ka launu o ka maka e hae. Hea ia mai nā au makua, kua lua I ke ako ia ke opuni. Aloha e lili o lolo kue. Heno I ka pu'u vai kila no ke one vero hai Hawaii e. I ke kapu hiwa mai na kupuna mai ke ame ahi ulua kai o ka lole aloha e. Lili o kalani e. Ko awehi kalaunu I ke kapu, o lili o kalani.
Aloha, everyone. Thank you for being here today. What an exciting day we're going to have here and a great conversation. You know, one of the beautiful things about Minnesota is that there's so many different cultures through various communities here. And I'm just so humbled to sit at this table with you guys and have an opportunity to talk about our Hawaiian community here and the Hawaiian culture as a whole, specifically hula. So, you know, if we could just go around the table quickly and introduce yourselves and your name and what halau you represent.
I'm Kanani Johnson. My halau is Hala Hula Kanani.
My name is Kalei instead, and our halau is Kalei o Kapili Aloha.
And I am Bobbe Norberg, and I am part of Halau Hula o Napuna Hele o Napua under the direction of Rich Padrina.
You know, I think that's amazing that so far away, what are we, 5,000 miles away from Hawaii? And we have 3 hula halaus right here in Minnesota. You know, number one, to perpetuate the culture, because that's important, right? That's how we keep the culture moving, and we're able to have your halaus here and pass it down to the younger generations and have them continue the culture, and that's really important. You know, Kermit, growing up on Molokai, you know, when you hear hula, what do you think of? What comes to mind when you think of hula or hula dancing?
Well, as an adult now, I think of its cultural aspect, but when I was little, it was just like mysteriously something that a bunch of people knew at Uncle's party when you'd go there. You know, somebody would break out an instrument, start playing, somebody would get up and dance, and you took it all in and were amazed, and you maybe learned a little along the way. So it's very inherent in the culture. I mean, it's from the day one, it's there.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that I definitely love to share with our viewers here is that, you know, in Hawaii, through the families, hula is passed down, right, through the generations. And you know, I guess for a lack of better words, there's formal and informal, right? So there's formal performances, you know, formal competitions. And then informal would be, you know, you never know when you go to somebody's house, when you just show up at somebody's house. We were just talking about this, about just showing up. That's the local way, right?
Right.
Hey, you call somebody up, you know, hey, where are you at? I'm in your driveway right now. You know, and immediately right there, somebody opens up their garage and the tables are there and you just load in your food. And as Kermit mentioned, you know, somebody brings out an instrument and starts playing music, and, you know, your auntie might stand up and start dancing, or one of the kids. One of the kupuna might get up, you know, one of the elders get up and get everyone else dancing with them, you know, and that's one of the amazing things about the culture that, you know, I'm proud of. Number one is that it's so family oriented. In the Hawaiian culture, ohana is everything, right? And it's the most respectful entity in a family per se, right? So when you hear hula, what do you feel? How do you feel when you think about hula? What emotions does it bring up?
You know, I've been dancing for so long, since I was 10, and I never really realized that I was going to land in Minnesota and how much I was going to miss it, because that is part of my life, part of my roots, and very fortunate to be able to have a small group of men and women and keiki who are interested, whether they're from Hawaii or not, whether they are Hawaiian or not. They are drawn to the Hawaiian community, and I think a lot of it says it's because of the aloha we just exude whenever we're around others.
That's amazing. So you started dancing at 10 years old. Do you remember what it was like in the beginning when you were first learning? 10 seems pretty young. Is that kind of
It's not
the
as young as
average
some of
age?
these other girls start now at 2 or 3. They're
Really?
just, oh
That
yeah.
young? Wow.
They're dragged in. They may not be doing much, but they hear the music, they hear the pa'i,
Yeah.
and they absorb it all. They really do. So even at 10, I mean, back then, taking hula class was learning hula and Tahitian and Samoan. You learned a little bit of everything along
Yep.
the way, and that's good because you realize what similarities there are and what differences there are, and you can just build on that.
Yeah, definitely. So starting at 10 years old, that's amazing to me. That's really young. At 45 years old, I was just saying it when you guys were warming up. I have no rhythm, so you know, I'm impressed every time I watch any level of dancer dancing. You know, moving to Minnesota, I don't know that any of us really saw it in our futures. I think an opportunity came up, and you know, it was something that we needed to take advantage of to advance in whatever it is that we were looking at life in that time. And in missing it, you know, you started at 10 years old in Hawaii, you moved to Minnesota, you know, and you really realized at that point how much you missed it. What did you do then? How did you get back into it?
You know, it's funny because I wasn't sure what to do. It's not like there were a lot of hula classes happening in Minnesota, and I started checking into like the community centers that give 6 to 8 week, you know, dance lessons and whatnot, and did that for a little bit just to see if anybody was interested. And you know, sometimes there were just a couple people, sometimes there were 20. It just really varied, and one thing led to another. You know, I met Leona Bell, and she had a little group of her own, and again, one thing led to another, and next thing you know, I have, you know, 20-some people who are coming to class twice a week.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that is. That's really cool. You know, and like you said, something starts off small and it just snowballs, you know, into something a lot bigger than you realize what it is. I mean, the community here, at least the Frozen Ohana community, you know, that's how it started. We're going on 20 years next year, and I remember the first gathering that we had was 5 families. And that was it. And now when we have our gatherings, it's a lot larger.
Yeah.
You know, involving a lot of people in a lot of different states. So, you know, that's definitely true on how things just build and grow. You know, and it's kind of like, do you feel when you step back and look at the bigger picture right now, it's kind of how it was meant to be, that you would be called back to it?
Yes, I do. That's why when Kanani had mentioned that, you know, she's working through the community as well, it will grow.
Yeah.
It will. You just have to be there.
Kalei, has your halal reached the point where it's multi-generational? You started teaching someone,
Yes.
they had a child, and now the child is dancing?
Yes, definitely. And I love it. I actually have 3 mother-daughter
Wow.
families and 1 father-daughter in our group as well. And it is. It's very heartwarming
It
is what it is.
Definitely. Bobby, how about you? Where did it all start for you?
So mine's not dancing when I was younger,
Mine's
and not
ten,
and not having a connection to Hawaii either. I actually started off doing a tap and ballet class,
Okay.
and was doing that. And we did our end of the year recital, and I was 21. And then the teacher that was teaching me, she did a dance at the end for the recital, but she was doing something else. She did an uli uli number, and I was like, what is this? Why am I trying to do this tap and this jazz that I cannot do? I cannot move my body this way. I cannot move it this fast. And I see her doing this uli uli number, and I was floored by it. And so my sister and my mom and I all asked her, you know, can you teach us that? What is that? And so she did the whole Polynesian review. So she did Maori, she did Tahitian, she did Hula, all of that. And so she took us on and taught us how to do that. And I was just floored by it. I fell in love with it. Then I didn't do it for a little while, and I happened to actually have the opportunity to go to Hawaii. And every time I saw somebody move a little bit, I was like, are they going to dance? I need to watch. Well, I don't care what we're doing right now. I need to stop and watch what they're doing. And got into it from there, and it's just been amazing.
Now, that original instructor, what was her background?
So she had learned, I unfortunately don't know who she learned from, but there was a lady that was from Hawaii that was here and was performing at the Thunderbird Hotel that used to be where the Mall of America is.
Yep.
So she would do performances there, and she was teaching my instructor how to do that.
That's awesome.
That's really cool. What is uli uli?
Uli uli is the feathered gourd, so it's the
Okay.
feather tops that have the
Yeah.
gourd on the bottom that have the seeds inside.
And what really caught your attention? Was it the movement? Was it the rhythm? Was it the
It was-
sound?
It was the grace of the movement. It was a little bit of the flashiness of the uli uli because they're the red and yellow feathers.
Yep.
So those catch your eye, and watching her move, I was like, I didn't know you could do that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But just for her, she was so graceful, and she just made everything look so smooth and effortless, and you just couldn't take your eyes off of her, watch her tell her story.
So fast forward 21 years old when you were first exposed to hula dancing, and you know it obviously caught your attention.
Just a little bit.
Emotionally, what does hula dancing do for you now?
Now hula has become it's like my meditation. It's like I'm not very religious, but this is my connection. It's my
Yes.
connection to the earth.
Yes.
Like I can't believe how much it's helped me to realize my connection with the earth, and you know, taking care of it, being part of it, being in it, being connected to it. That's like probably the biggest thing that hula has done for me, and and the ohana that I have. I have a
Yes.
huge family now in Hawaii
Yes.
that I never ever thought I would have.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
an unbreakable bond. I
It
can
is.
imagine through.
And we had a
your
short little
groups.
conversation, it's been a couple of years now at On Hawaiian Place. You were just about to take off to spend some time in Hawaii so you could actually participate with Merry Monarch,
Yep,
and that obviously
Awesome.
happened?
I did it.
Awesome, that is so
So
cool.
I did the in 2021, we were supposed to, or I don't even know the dates anymore. Everything's been so blurred. So I went for 2020 Merry Monarch. That got canceled while I was there. We were like almost ready, like weeks away, and then they canceled it. And so I came back reluctantly, but then worked through it again, talked to my company, everything, and they let me go back again. So I went for another 6 months and was able to do it in 2021.
Whoa,
So
awesome.
never ever thought that that would be something that I would have the opportunity to do. That
That's amazing.
still amazes me.
How would you explain Merry Monarch? What is that?
A lot of people take it as being, the Olympics of hula. Like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
your top, your best of the best people being out there
Wow.
and showing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
To be recognized at that level, right? Is I would venture to say it's safe to say that's a prestigious type
Yes.
environment to be in.
Yes.
Do you have an idea how many folks are invited, or how do you qualify for it? Are the halaus hand selected? Is there a process?
You have to be invited to it, so not anybody can just show up to it.
Yeah.
They have to be. It's not international.
Mhm.
You can have a couple of dancers be international, but it's to be local.
Okay.
And then it's normally, if you're doing other competitions and you're placing in those, gets you kind of recognized to be invited.
Yeah.
But yes, you're definitely invited to them. It varies as far as how many are invited and how many accept too, because
And
some
when-
people can't take it on and accept the invitation.
When we say invited, where are folks invited from? Are they coming in from all over? Is it specific to Hawaii?
Most of them, a majority of them are from the Hawaiian Islands, but
Mhm.
there's a few from California. There was one that was from Washington State
Wow,
as
okay.
well.
So you're recognized amongst that group then, as far as being one of the few overall to be invited
Yes.
to perform, whether it's you specifically or your halau as a whole,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Man, what a cool experience. What memories did you walk away from experiencing that? Because it's a long process, isn't it?
It's a long process. It's a lot of hard work, a lot
Yes.
more dedication, a
Yes.
lot more. The amount that you have to go through and research. You need to know what you're dancing. Why are you dancing
Yes.
this? Why are you wearing what you're wearing?
Yes.
Everything goes into that, and it's not. So many people think of, I'm just going to go dance. I'm just going
Yes.
to, get up there and tell my little story. And it's like, no, you need to really get
Yeah.
into it. Be confident. Be knowing what you're doing and why you're up there, and why are you going up on that stage. Don't go up there just because you want to be like, I'm just going to be on Merry Monarch.
Exactly. And that's where I was going with what you were saying, is that, a lot of folks that maybe aren't familiar with hula dancing, whether you start at 10 years old or younger now or a little older, I don't know that a lot of people are aware of what it all entails, right?
Right.
I'm guessing that you don't just show up to a dance class and say, I want to do this, and then you just get into it and you start doing it, What's the process? What I'm trying to say here is, compare hula dancing training or preparation to weightlifting, right? Because there is a close comparison as far as conditioning your body, conditioning your mind.
That might be a
physically,
good question
mentally.
for Kanani, because you are the only one who is uniki here. You should, give us some tidbits of, what you've been through.
Okay. So I started hula in Japan.
Mhm.
I'm originally from Japan, and so I didn't grow up in Hawaii or in the Hawaiian culture. But I watched this movie, Japanese movie called Hula Girls. It's based on true story. It's it's still there, but there's a spa resort kind of place in Japan. It's called Hawaiian Center. Back then it was called Hawaiian Center. So they have Hawaii a hula show, the Tahitian and everything. And so I fell in love with the movie, and then I started taking class, and I just kept doing until now. And so first I moved to New York, and I was dancing with halal there, and I moved to San Diego, and I found this halal. I danced there, and I competed, and I moved here with my husband. My husband is from St. Paul.
That's how you got there.
Yeah. So, but I was still taking class online, or I go back and take class or workshop or something. And then my kumu invited me to Uniki program, so that she was gonna start. And at first I said, oh, because I was already here, and we're talking about starting family, and maybe I don't know if I can do this. And then I said no first. Then I was talking with my husband, and my husband encouraged me to do it, and he's really supportive. And so I started this training. Yeah, so
Where did you have to go for the training?
it was in San Diego, so I went back. I flew in to San Diego like 4 times a year.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
3-4 times.
That's
yeah,
dedication
4.
right there.
Yeah.
How old were you when you started?
Hula.
Yep.
When I started, I was 26,
Yeah.
7, 25, yeah, something.
And when you say uniki, what do you mean? Can you explain that?
Yes. So it's a graduation. Uniki means graduation, and to be a kumu hula.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a process of learning.
Yes.
Right. And that's
in
something
order
I
to
make
get
sure
to-
that others know. I am not kumu hula.
Mhm.
I am kumu teacher
Yep.
to my students.
Yeah.
I have not graduated
Yep.
and done the whole process of becoming kumu hula yet, right? There's always time.
You know what's amazing, just sitting here talking to the 3 of you folks, it doesn't matter what age you are, right?
Mhm,
You can
that's
start
right.
at any time,
Yep.
right? And, another thing that really highlights the Hawaiian culture and hula and aloha is that anyone, it doesn't matter where you're from,
Mhm.
right? As long as you embrace it, there's an opportunity to really dive deep and get involved. When you move 5,000 miles away and you realize how much you miss it, and you go back and you start over and you build it up again from learning at a tap
Yeah.
dance class. And living in Japan, complete opposite for what we're out here in Minnesota, right? It doesn't matter where you at. You're able to embrace it and go through these processes. So when we talk about the Uniki process, can you share with us what that process entails? Where does it start? It starts at basic entry level, I guess, learning of hula dancing? And how does it advance?
So Uniki training is it's specific, special training to be
Okay.
a kumu hula. So
Okay.
a lot of them were already dancing
Mhm.
for a while.
Okay.
And
So they go into it. So you have to have a certain level of experience in hula dancing.
yeah.
What other experiences are necessary to get into that process?
So Kumu decides
Okay.
who she wants to
Okay.
invite.
So you're hand selected.
Yes.
Okay, kind of like going to the Merry Monarch
Right.
festival. You're hand selected. Wow, that's amazing. So you were chosen to go through this process, and no matter how long it takes, is there a specific time frame that it takes? Do you have an allotted amount of time, or do you have to finish it within a certain time?
I think it's usually really long time in
Yeah.
Hawaii, but the training I took was 3 years
Okay.
program. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about average.
Mhm.
And I think every halau has their own
Yes.
program
Yeah.
of what hula, what oli, how everyone is taught.
Mhm.
And living here, going to San Diego, living in Hawaii,
Yeah.
kind of determines how much hands-on you can have. You know,
Yep,
you can't
exactly.
just go up into, you know, the kohivi and go pick maile or something. But yeah, so I think it's just awesome what you did,
That is,
because
that's-
that takes a
Yeah.
lot of dedication.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm really grateful.
For that
That might-
opportunity. That sounds
yes.
like that's a
Yes.
that's a big opportunity.
Yes.
You know, and something
Yes.
definitely to be proud of.
Yeah.
The three of you sitting here just talking for this short time, learning about the things that you guys have done, that's definitely something all three are to be proud of. I mean, it's amazing to go through the trainings that you have gone through, right? And the experiences that you guys continue to go
Mhm.
through. But then to bring it here, you know, of all places, Minnesota,
Right.
right? And spread the culture through, you know, not only hula, but directly from you to the student, of your experiences. You're passing down a lot more than just your basic moves or your dances and, you know, things like that.
Right.
You're passing down your experience, a part of you, you know,
Mhm.
and I think that's what really impacts, you know, more heartfelt, right?
Right.
And it's just awesome that, you know, we have this opportunity all the way out here to continue spreading it, you know. I know that you folks are involved with Festival of Nations, you know, and what a great opportunity there to share hula with you know, I'm
Right.
going to guess thousands of people that go to that through the time that they're there,
It is.
you know. When you guys sit at this table here and just think about it as I get into the question, how does it make you personally feel to be doing what you're doing for the culture here in Minnesota? Does it make you feel a sense of pride?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we all feel that way. I mean, for me, it's just, this is my legacy, I guess. My,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
it's my roots passing on to people who are not blood related to me,
Yes.
but they are my ohana, they are my family, and I feel really, really good about that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How about you guys? What feelings does it bring out to you guys?
Yes, so especially I'm not from Hawaii,
Yep.
and but I love the culture, I love hula, so I try to contribute
Yes.
to perpetuate the culture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's so important, and we had mentioned it earlier, you know, up here and keeping the culture alive and passing it down, and it doesn't matter where you're from,
Mhm.
as long as you embrace it and as long as you love it in your heart, you know.
Yeah.
Bobby,
There's-
how does it make you feel?
Well, for me, there's so many people in Minnesota that don't know about Hawaii. I mean, we learn
Yes.
so little about
Yes.
it. So for me, I take it as my responsibility to help
Yes.
educate, because so many people from Minnesota want to go to Hawaii, and I'm hoping that if I can teach them a little bit, that they'll be more respectful when they get there, and not just, hey, this is a place where I can party and just, you know,
Mhm.
create havoc.
Yeah.
You know, go there with some understanding of what that place is.
Yes.
There are
And I
still
noticed that-
people, I'm
Go
sorry, go
ahead.
ahead. And there are still people who think that doing the hula includes a hula hoop.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm
So
sorry.
many
It
times
does
people
not.
have said that.
Yes.
Yes.
No, but I guess being raised in an atmosphere where I attended Kamehameha and the focus was more obvious to me as a student, but I discovered in my adult life, I'd run into people who were introduced to just the women only, and then I would sit them in front of some Merry Monarch footage where the men were dancing or the women were dancing these powerful
Yes.
numbers, and they were
Yes.
stunned like, that's way beyond hula. No, that's hula.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just a
Yep.
whole different level.
Yep.
Or even to understand that, you know, you've got the old and the new, more traditional.
Yep.
I've had
So-
people, I had a former boss that I'd known him for years, and he knew that I danced hula, and I would ask, you know, invite him to come to the shows and stuff, like, you should sit. He wouldn't do it for the longest time. And I finally had some pictures of one of our shows up on my screensaver, and he's like, oh, that's what hula looks like. Oh, that's what you're wearing. I think he thought that I was going to be completely, you know,
Topless.
Yes.
Coconut
I'm
Yeah,
like,
or coconut
that-
bras, right?
Yeah, I'm like, no, there's different things to this. There's different costumes. There's everything. It is, you know.
Yeah.
I think
Not
it's
just that.
amazing that being so far from Hawaii or coming from different parts of the world, you know, that you guys take the kuleana, the responsibility, as you do, and you know, bring it here, and you carry forth what you guys are doing. It's amazing what you guys are doing, and I humbly sit at this table with the three of you, and Kermit here by our side, and I appreciate what you guys are doing.
Thank you for
for the
inviting
culture,
us.
number one, and spreading it, number two, because that's important, or just as important. Want to thank you guys for coming out today.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
the
you so
conversation
much.
that we had, and I look forward to seeing you folks do some great things in the future.